Composing Gloves here, and today we're going to be talking about, you got it, the Fruity Fast Distortion plugin. Now, there's a Fruity Wave Shaper plugin, and I have a video on that. Go check that one out if you want some serious distortion power. This one is very easy on your CPU. Personally, I think they're all pretty easy on the CPU. At least the Wave Shaper, I feel like, is still pretty simple on your CPU, but this one claims CPU advantages if that's important to you. You are given some simple settings. Maybe you're just looking for a preset type deal. So, and you actually get to see your graph and with some knobs. So maybe you like manipulating knobs rather than manipulating a graph. I don't know. So what is this? Well, it's very similar to the Blood Overdrive plugin. You have your preamp, and so if you've ever seen a guitarist, he has all his boards down there, all his pedal boards, and he plugs in, and there's a bunch of distortion effects on there, and then it hits his amp, and then it gets distorted, and well, it gets distorted, then it hits his amp. So this is a similar idea. It happens before you amplify your sound. So as you can see, the pre. Now, what does this graph represent? Well, this graph represents our volume. So there we go. I was looking for the pre. So this is a linear relationship, 1-to-1, meaning this, you can essentially look at this as like a compressor as well. So here we have our volumes, our very soft volumes, and this goes spectrally as well. So here's our soft volumes. Maybe we have some noise in our signals down here, and then we have our tone, our mid ranges, and maybe our low ends getting up over here. Maybe we have a few high things over here. Well, we could say, I want it to be louder there. And so normally we'd reach here, but now it gets shoved up here wherever there's the lines at. So we can change the distortion using this. And we also have this mix knob, which allows us to mix between undistorted and distorted. And as you can see, it turns it into a sort of compressor, because here's our linear relationship, our 1-to-1, how it's supposed to be. And we can actually remap the amplitude. So we could go like this, and we've essentially formed a compressor. It's saying all the volumes, but when they get here, bang, no more goes past that. And so if we were to, if we change our mix, then you see, but we're getting distortion instead. So it's not quite the same as a compressor, because it clips your top ends, which is what you were opening this plugin for. You want distortion. And so it clips the upper ends of that stuff that's loud enough to reach this point on your graph, and that is just the way life is. So pre is, again, the amount before, so you could turn pre overboard, and pre is really sharp. So we'll get a lot more high-end distortion, because the sounds that are really soft, which is usually higher end stuff, is now going to be really loud. And you hear that sort of buzz, that high-end buzz. And it looks very similar to a square wave at this point. That is because, well, there's a whole bunch of reasons in DSP land for why that is. But as we reach it, our samples get pushed up and down. It just resembles a square, which is the most basic reason. We have our threshold. So this relies on a threshold. So if your volume isn't loud enough to reach, as you see, if we move our threshold, you'll see this point goes up and down. And so that means that softer volumes, now volumes can be only that. Louder volumes, it takes a lot louder of a volume to get distorted, and this one takes a not so loud volume to be distorted. Because here, a volume has to be, even if it's this loud, it actually gets turned down. But if we turn it up, these volumes will get turned up. And so this is a threshold. So turning down your volume, let's say you get the distortion sound you want, but now it's too loud, and you turn it down over here, you've just changed the threshold input, and now you're going to have problems. So what do? You don't change that. You change the post option. So this is the amount of volume coming out of the plugin post. So you can do that. That will preserve your mapping. And as you see, it just simply moves your threshold line up and down. So it'll preserve the same shape. And now you have this mix. This mix is between unprocessed and processed. But you notice that it does not change your pre. So the signal coming in, this is afterwards. So you could use the mix to create a variety of shapes. With the mix essentially off, it's all distorted. So it's like a distorting a distorting compressor, I guess. And now you have this A/B. What is the A/B? Well, you can have one setting on A, and you can try it out. Like, that's my first option. Then on B, you can have something like way crazier, like this. And let's set this over here. So there's our B. There's our A. So it's kind of interesting that the knobs don't move back and forth. I believe some of these knobs, yeah, post knobs stay where they are. So let's see if the mix knob does that. So here's our mix. Yeah, our mix knob does that too. I think the only difference between these, I guess they are. Never mind what I said earlier. These are entirely separate types of distortion. They just have different curves on right here. There's curve 1, there's curve 2. You just get to choose between two. I'd set this by ear. This is a plugin that, for what it does and the fact that I have Fruity Wave Shaper that can let me do exactly what I want to do without having to guess about secret settings, I'm just going to use that. But if I'm looking for something quick and fun, not that Wave Shaper isn't fun or quick, but if I'm just going to throw it on there and forget about it, then this might be what I go with. So that's the Fruity Fast Distortion plugin. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.
Opposing blows. Reversing.